Hey guys, and welcome back to another jumping lesson vlog. This will be the fourth one in this installation. I've taken way more than 4 jumping lessons, but at this barn I think this might be like my maybe 6th or 7th lesson. Anyways, so here I am warming up. The coach told me to just get started and start warming up since I'm taking a private lesson and she kind of stacks her private lessons in the morning. I only really have a half an hour to 40 minutes to have a lesson, so it's really important that I get into the arena a little early so that I can warm up. So I'm just working on getting him to be trotting from behind and focus because, as usual, he's really worried about this side of the arena. And so we just did some circles and I just tried to keep him focused on what was going on and not trying to spook and be silly in this corner. This lesson was really good. We did a lot of jumping. So that was really fun, and he was actually really good, and for the most part we got most of our distances, and he seems to really be picking up on all of this. But I did fall off in this lesson, and it hurt, but I'm fine and he's fine, and we were able to go over the fence that he stopped at, and I'll talk a little bit more about it when we get to that point. Unfortunately, the people did not capture me falling off, but I left in the clips of like my trainer's face and stuff because I thought it was funny. But anyway, so this is just us warming up. He was really good in the warm-up. He did spook a little bit at some of the bushes, but honestly, that's just kind of normal now that he's just gonna do that. So anyways, this is our warm-up. Okay, and then the main part of this lesson, flat work anyways, was to do circles. So we worked on circles both ways at the trot and canter, starting with a 20-meter circle, and then we went to a 15-meter circle, and then down to a 10-meter circle, and then spiraled back out. So back to 15, then 20, and did that a lot. It was really hard and a lot of work for me. I think the main takeaway at the trot that I got was that I need to start letting him kind of carry himself more and not be so, I don't want to say seesawy because I'm not purposely seesawing. I think it's just a habit I've gotten into, but seesawing a little bit. And also just kind of being there to let him carry his posture more and kind of just float my hands as opposed to holding so much. So that's kind of what we learned at the trot, and it was a really hard exercise, both of the trot and the canter. I highly recommend it. I definitely worked on it this week some, and it was just as difficult, but I think working on it will just start making it a little bit easier. I liked it because it definitely pointed out some of my weaknesses in the circle. So like I said, at the trot, I feel like I kind of move my hands quite a bit, which causes him to do a little bit of a seesaw with his head. And at the canter, there were other issues that I'll address when we do this at the canter. Okay, and then the final piece of this circling at the trot anyways was to do a sitting trot and then leg yield to the rail, which I also have been doing this week in my rides to start working on getting him to really leg yield a lot better than he normally does. I feel like he does what most horses that I've ridden do, which is lead with his shoulder and kind of his hind end trails behind, and I've been working a lot on trying to get him to push over and to actually go straight over. So we were doing that a lot, especially this last ride that I did with him. At the walk, I was trying really hard to get him to actually move himself over as opposed to just kind of like moving parts of him at once. I kind of want him to move as a unit. So yeah, that's something that we'll definitely continue working on in our rides, and really felt good. He's actually like yielding a lot better than he ever has, so I'm quite happy with it, but obviously there's always room for improvement. Okay, and into the canter. So I've been working super hard, as I said in my last vlog, on keeping a half seat or a 2-point and trying to stay out of his way with my hands. And so that was why I started this way. And he came into this pole line super lovely and then spooked at that. So then we had a lovely distance to the final rail, which would have been a really nice distance if he hadn't decided to spook out, I'm assuming, the green box, which is terrifying to him. So we came back around and did it again. And it went better, and this was much better than our last lesson. So yeah, he was a little deep to that one, but that was okay. It was much better than our last lesson, because our last lesson we were like not getting any distances. And then of course we're really tasked with trying to stay straight and not cut the corner, because that's what Happy and I really love to do, is when we go after a jump or a pull, we immediately turn, and we're practicing really hard to stop doing that. So that was what we were doing to start our canter, and then we came in and started to do the circling to the, I guess this is the left lead, which was really actually quite hard, because I realized when I was doing this that I really crank my inside bend and really focus on his neck, but I'm not actually really supporting him to bend through his entire body. So that's kind of what we were doing here, where she was like, use both hands, ask him to bend, and push his ribcage out. And so I think that was why we were getting a little bit of this like jump behind from him, because he was really having to move himself over. And it really was beneficial for me, and we're definitely going to be doing this so much more, because the canter after he did this was really nice, and I was really pleased with it. So then we did to the right, which I actually think the pulls to the right went a lot better. For some reason, we are a lot more balanced to the right, or I feel a lot more balanced to the right, even if the canter looks a little shaky at times. So the right sometimes, most of the time, goes better when I'm trying to go over fences or poles. But yeah, we did the same exercise to the right, and to the right I did not bend as hard as I normally do to the left. So I actually feel like to the right we got to a much nicer canter than we did to the left, because we are already much better balanced than we are to the left. Gosh, I'm getting confused now. But yeah, so this was our canter warm up, and I feel like it went really well. I would just like everyone to note that the first time through the cross rails I got perfect distances, and so all of my work has paid off and I will continue working on it. Now, we didn't get perfect distances all the time. He did land a little unbalanced at times, but I was super thrilled with the fact that even if he landed unbalanced, he fixed himself. He normally, in the past, would just keep on cross-cantering and pacing and looking like real special. And we got the 4 on that one, which was shocking. But today, in this lesson, he tried so hard and he would skip behind and fix himself if he was unbalanced and in the wrong lead or crossfiring. And so it really gives me hope that in the future, in the next couple of months, hopefully, he'll start to get strong enough that he is actually not landing on the incorrect lead. So it's just so exciting, and I'm so happy that this is like happening the way it is. Now here, he was not really paying attention to me. He was really bulging out of his inside shoulder. And so she told me every time we had this issue where he would bulge out, she's like, what kind of canter do you have? Make sure you have the right canter. And so that's what we did. And I think he still kind of bulged a little bit there. It's much better. So these are the things that we're now working on, which is awesome because it feels like we're working on things that are what everybody else is working on in the lesson program when I watch everybody's lessons. So this is where I fell off. So I'm going to come around here and we're going to take an oxer. And he does the oxer really well, even though it was huge and I was kind of scared about it. It was very wide is what I mean. I think it was maybe 2 foot, 2'3" at the most. But he takes the oxer and then he decides that that green cross rail looks very scary and he totally ditches stage left and I fall and hit my back on the jump standards. I got up pretty quickly. It hurt. I was sore for a couple days and I have a bruise on my back from hitting the jump standard, and yes, my stirrup went over the saddle. But we came back and we did this both ways, to the right and to the left, and he stopped the second time, but I was deep in the tack, so I definitely didn't come off. And then I just pushed him over it since it's a small cross rail, and then after that, he jumped it weird, which I think the 3 poles on the side like really confused him, but he jumped it every single time after that. So I don't know exactly why he stopped there, but we fixed it, and he definitely gained the confidence to not do that again, which is great because in the past when he would stop, I swear to you, we would have schooled that probably 10 or 15 times, and each time he would have stopped at it. And you know what? This one was like 1 stop. I say, no, we're going over it. And then after that, he's like, all right, we can do it. And this is, I think, the last time we jumped over it before we went back on and did more coursing. And he did knock a rail. But I was just so happy that he went over it. See, I just don't think he liked those 3 rails on the side. He was very confused by them. But anyways, yes, that was my fall, and it was embarrassing, but things happen. Okay, and this is where I started to kind of like mess with my distances a little bit. So he was getting tired and he was getting more difficult to get on the hind end and to slow when I needed him to. And his pace was getting a little more uneven, so there was a lot of push and pull. And I was trying really hard to really micromanage his gait, and when I just sat and wait, like here I'm kind of micromanaging everything and he gets a weird distance, but I was practicing at the end of this just sitting and waiting and not getting in his way, and it definitely worked out a lot better. And he really does have a better canter now, to the point that he can find his distances slightly better than he used to be able to. It's not great, but he's learning. And so this was definitely a great lesson for me to learn that when Happy is energized and ready to go, our distances really come up pretty easily. When he's not, it's very difficult, and that's when I need to sit and wait and just have leg for him so that he knows what he's doing. But it was a really great lesson. I feel like we learned a lot. We got to jump around a lot this lesson, which we haven't done in a while, and it was really good. Like in the past, Happy couldn't canter courses. We were constantly on the wrong lead. This is the one where I waited, and look at how nice that came out of stride. He was constantly on the wrong lead. He was constantly having issues getting his simple changes. He was just skyrocketing over the fences in a way that was really just not pretty at all. And this one, I felt like he was just doing so much better. And I'm so proud of him and the progress that we've made. And I really can't wait to see where we are next summer, because I think that with all of this work that we're doing, he's going to be in a much better place, and hopefully my 2-point will be less bracy and I'll look better. But thank you guys so much for watching this jumping vlog. I hope you enjoyed it, and please leave a comment if you would like to. Thank you.